Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the College Town Podcast. I'm Derek DeBurger. With me is Sam Roth.
How we doing, guys?
Well, we got into a big argument today.
What is a
to
blue
start
blood?
We're
going to find out what a blue blood is. We still don't really know because we don't agree with it.
No, not at all. That's why it's a very big, long argument.
Absolutely.
It's ridiculous. We talk about some Caitlin Clark. We talk about...
who's in fuego right now.
Yeah, we talk about some job openings that could hit this offseason.
Yeah.
Is Kentucky? Is that a job opening?
We'll see.
Is Calipari gone? Mike Woodson at Indiana?
Is Kim Palm net rankings BS? We'll find out about that as well.
It's really more of just a spiel.
Yeah, more so. It's not necessarily that, but
yeah. And then of course we talked about football rearing its ugly head.
Yep.
And the Big Ten and the SEC trying to flex their muscles.
Football is king.
Yeah.
And it's going to be at the detriment of every other sport in college college sports, and we'll get into that.
Yep. And as always, we do our pick'ems at the end of the show, which you guys can do here on YouTube.
Find it under the community page, absolutely, under our channel.
So we'll see you in the episode.
See you guys.
Hello, everybody. Puxatawny Phil has spoken. There will be an early spring this year. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh, totally forgot about Groundhog's Day.
How could you?
Because
most important holiday of the year.
Apparently that groundhog is like 100-something years old or something like that.
I don't think it's the same groundhog.
No, it is. Its name's Phil, and it's been alive for like 100-something years.
All right.
And it tells us whether we're gonna have.
Phil.
I'll take your word on it. All I know is I saw Phil. That's all I know about that.
How do you think you spell Puxatawny? I'm just curious.
No clue. Don't even do that to me.
Come on. I don't know how to spell it either.
Puxatawny?
Yeah.
Pux. Like P-U-X. That's what Pux, A-T-O-N-Y. Puxatawny. Yeah, Puxatawny.
Yeah, we're both wrong. P-U-N... X.
I had the X, right?
S-U-T-A-W-N-E-Y. Puxatawny.
Age roughly 6 years. That's not true. It's. I'm telling you, that groundhog is 100-something years old.
That's crazy with a lifespan of 7 years.
I know, right?
that guy's really punching above his weight. He must be as arthritic as can be.
Why do you think they have to lift him up out of there every year?
Yeah, you got a point there. Anyway, college basketball happened again this week. Like it has for quite some time now.
For the past lot of weeks now.
Yeah, past a lot of weeks.
Past a lot of weeks.
Last week we gave each other teams. Yeah, you gave me New Mexico, and then they immediately lost.
Yeah, I saw
so thanks for that, bud.
No, shout out Boise State.
Who I told you is good, and you poo-pooed me.
Hey.
They might make the tournament, legitimately.
No, I think they're a tournament team.
Yeah, as of now, they're probably a tournament team.
I think they're like second or third in like the Mountain West right now.
Oh, they're up there. Yeah.
They might be tied with first with Utah State, honestly.
But yeah, so immediately the team that's supposed to give me some solace because Louisville's so bad, they lost.
Yeah, they're tied for first right now.
Yeah.
7-2.
And I give you a good one. I give you Bama.
Hey, they're fun to watch. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
Good old Mark Sears, man.
Anyway.
And yeah, you gave me the first place team in the second best conference in the SEC.
I don't know if I would call it the second best conference, but that's neither here nor there.
I don't know. Big 12?
I like Big East.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
But yeah, we had a lot of big games. First time ever that there was 4 top 10 matchups.
Oh, Purdue, Wisconsin, Kentucky, Tennessee, Houston. No, I said Houston, Kansas. Oh.
You almost said Houston.
Did I say Houston? Houston, Kansas, Purdue, Wisconsin, Tennessee, Kentucky, and
what's the big one? The big one that ESPN pushes every year.
Oh, Duke, North Carolina.
The one that was probably the least interesting out of all of them. Honestly.
Yeah, UNC kind of controlled that one.
Well, just even beforehand, it was like one of the least interesting. Like I don't think there was as much hype for that one this year as there normally is. And I think the reason is twofold. One, they did it in between conference championship weekend and the Super Bowl, which they normally wait until after the Super Bowl.
Oh.
So
I think they play again though. They'll play.
they play twice. They play the final weekend of
Right.
the year. But two, I don't think Duke's like. I'm not a believer in John Shire right now. I'm just not.
I mean, what is like the ceiling that you're expecting from Duke this year? I mean, looking at them, I'm saying their ceiling's like Elite Eight maybe.
They have a ton of talent. They have a ton of talent.
Do they though?
Yes.
Filipowski's
great. Tyrese Proctor, Jeremy Roach, they are fantastic guards.
You want to know what's funny is I found one of their guards TikTok. He's pretty viral. His name is Jared McCain.
Yeah, McCain's pretty good too.
He's a little bit of like a singer dancer on TikTok.
Good for him.
I'll show you later, but some of them are pretty funny.
Okay. Well, good for McCain.
Yeah.
No, I there's not as much interest. UNC's clearly better than Duke, I think.
Yeah.
And I think later in the year they're gonna, unless
they have a very
they
good
kind of fall off. I think UNC's gonna sweep.
Who was the guy that went off for them in that game? North Carolina.
North Carolina, Baycott.
No, it wasn't him or
Cadeau?
It might have been Cadeau.
Elliot Cadeau?
It wasn't RJ Davis or
Armando Baycott.
No, it was.
There's Cormac Ryan. They've got 55.
No, Harrison Ingram.
Yeah, I think that's the guy that wears 55.
Yeah, he went off.
He's pretty good.
Yeah.
He's solid. North Carolina's really good, and I just don't think Duke is that good this year. Even though North Carolina had a bad loss.
I mean, like for Duke standards and like a true blue blood, I mean, they're definitely not like punching for a title this year unless they figure it out real late.
I think they've got all this talent because they are Duke, and I just don't know. I could be proven wrong. Trust me, I could be proven wrong, but I just don't know if Shire is the guy. I think he's just one of those people who's as good as his players.
I can see it if he can put it all together. I mean, like, there definitely is talent, obviously. I mean, I don't know. The expectations for Duke, I feel like, are obviously immensely high every year because they are Duke.
Yeah, well, Coach K's final year, they went to the Final Four.
Right, they went on a nice little run.
It's not like you retired where it's like, okay, like when Roy Williams retired, UNC hadn't fallen off, but they weren't where they were at the peak a few years earlier. When Denny Crum retired, it was a far cry from his peak. Same thing with all these Georgetown coaches. Boeheim, when he retired way too late. It was a difference from when Coach K retired versus all these other greats. So Shire was walking into a made situation. And I just don't think he's really hit the ground running yet. And you don't have to. He's a young guy. Last year was a first-year head coach. Coaches get better at coaching. That's what a lot of people don't understand sometimes is like when a first year or when a young head coach is, going through some lumps, they will often improve. And I don't know. I don't know if I see it in Shire.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I don't really have too much opinions on him just yet. I mean, like, they're second or third, technically, I think, in the ACC right now. I think since Virginia's
Yeah, because Virginia passed them.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, they're going to be a consistently good team. They're going to make the tournament. We'll see what they can do in March. They can still win the ACC tournament. They could find a game against UNC.
Yeah,
maybe.
but they got hot last year, and they get upset in the second round of the tournament.
I'm not sure, honestly. What seed were they?
They were a 4 seed.
I'll look at it. I'm honestly not too sure.
They might have even lost in the first round, but like they didn't make it to the second weekend. I know that, and that was them getting hot at the end of the year. A lot of people thought like, okay, UNC did it. Under Hubert Davis's first year, they got hot halfway through the year and then made a run to the championship game.
They lost to Oral Roberts last year.
In the first round?
Yeah, they were a 5.
Okay, 5 seed. But like,
wait, is this right? No, this is just someone's random bracket that they're filling out. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I apologize.
Just go on Wikipedia. They'll have it.
I got you.
But Yeah, I don't know. They're going to have a ton of talent. They are Duke. I just don't know if I don't know if Shire's the guy. But anyway, there's some, of course, the other top matchups. That would be Tennessee destroyed Kentucky. They beat them by 10. They didn't destroy them, but you know what I mean. It's fun to say that.
Yeah, Duke lost to Tennessee
In the second round.
Yeah, but Kentucky, they look good, but they just look young, in my opinion. That's what I took away from that game. It was like a 12-point game, and then they were able to cut it down to like 4 at one point. And then I feel like that's like the closest they got all game was that 4-point threshold. And then Rupp got hot, and it was like if they would have just hit some few shots, the roof off that place would have blown off basically because the energy was like building, it was buzzing, and then they needed to hit that shot for like that exclamation point to force a timeout or whatever, and it just never came. I will say this, Rob Dillingham, I don't know why he doesn't start for Kentucky because it seemed like that game, their whole offense was get it to Rob, let him work, get a shot up, and if it wasn't him, it was like Antonio Reeves going to work.
Yeah. So Kentucky, though, they've lost 3 out of 4 now.
They sure have.
And that fourth game that they didn't lose, they looked bad against a bad Arkansas team.
I mean, like, the South Carolina loss isn't too bad. I mean, South Carolina looks like a really good team.
Yeah.
They should be ranked. The Florida loss is very bad.
Florida's a solid team, though.
I know.
It's at home, though.
Yeah, that's the issue. Is you got to defend home court as much as possible. Tennessee, I think, is a really good team, like a potential Final Four team.
Yeah.
Like, I think they got the talent there. So I'm not too worried about that loss as much. But it's also like they're just young. It's like you can see some mental lapse and some mistakes that are being made within the game of themselves where it's just like the talent is there. It's just they're not a unit yet.
But do you think it's ever going to click for them this year?
I mean, they got a month to figure it out, basically. I mean, we'll see. Ask me that by the time the conference tournaments roll around. Because, I mean, like, this is around the time where if you start to figure it out, like we're seeing maybe right now with Virginia, you can make a good run. You only need, like, a good 3-4 weeks of the year to have a good, successful year, which is kind of the magic, if you will, of college basketball.
But a lot of people... So we were talking about this before. When Dillingham got benched for making a defensive mistake, despite being their offense,
he was on fire.
The crowd booed Calipari.
They sure did.
And then he put him back in
like a minute and a half later.
Yeah. That goes to a talking point. I saw the Field of 68 talking about this. And it, we're in Kentucky, we're in Louisville, so it's a little bit of a local thing too. But fans are not and have not been happy with Cal for years. For years, they have been very, very, very unhappy with Cal for a long time now, and it was real hot last year. And I think just now it's starting to tick back up again. It's not where it was last year. Last year, they were so mad that it seemed like they almost ran him out of town to Texas. But
no. I don't see him going anywhere. He's got that contract in place. The only reason why he leaves is to, like, retire. You're kind of stuck with Cal, in my personal opinion. It's got to get very bad. And, I mean, like, even after their 2 losses, I still think they're going to be ranked. Like even after Florida and Tennessee, they're still going to be ranked. They're not a bad team by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, they're not elite right now, which I think is the issue.
I think they have an Achilles heel of if you can effectively stop transition, their offense it goes from being elite to being just good.
Yeah.
And because coupled with their very poor defense, because they're so young, that's a real disaster waiting to happen in the tournament.
Yeah, but I feel like this is what you grow to expect from Calipari teams with the way that he recruits, and he's going to get you 5 or 6 top recruits each year.
Yeah, but the question is,
exciting and new.
That's what you've grown to expect from Calipari, but is that what you expect from Kentucky?
I mean,
the job is bigger than the coach.
Oh,
and so
yeah, But would you say that he's not been the biggest coach at Kentucky?
Biggest and best results are two different things. He absolutely has been one of the biggest coaches in the sport.
Oh, yeah.
Since he's
Which,
been at Kentucky.
he's done it at Kentucky for most of it, maybe a little bit at Memphis.
Yeah.
He went to a national championship with Derrick Rose.
Yeah,
but,
because he had Derrick Rose.
Exactly. But, you're not going to win games if you don't have talent. That's point blank. Like, there's a reason why your mid-majors never win a national championship.
No, but I'm just saying, so a lot of people, and again, we are in Kentucky. We hear it. We hear it a lot. They are very, very mad with Cal. They think the game has passed him by. His dribble drive offense is outdated. There's not enough movement. It relies too heavily on stars, and that, what was it, 2020 season, 2020-21, when that batch of recruits that they got in didn't hit like they normally do, the dribble drive just falls apart. You're terrible if you don't have just better talent than everyone else. And also, the defense, normally, Kentucky defenses are very good. Cal, you don't even worry about the defense normally. It's a big, big problem this year. It's a major problem this year. And so a lot of people are thinking the game has passed them by a little bit. And I get that. I get that argument. I really do.
I get it, but also it's like year to year, I think this is just it's what to expect. He's got to find a way to get a new 7 or 8 guys together and try to run a team. It's not like in years past where it's like you could build something for 2 or 3 years, And now with the portal even more so.
Yes and no. There's differences, but I think that we're seeing the teams that, especially in basketball, more so than sports like football and baseball, we are seeing the portal is best when used to plug holes, not to retool an entire roster.
But it's also...
It can work. It can be a flash in the pan. It worked for TJ Otzelberger. It worked for Jerome Tang for a year. And then the next year they couldn't repeat that same success.
Oh, no. Absolutely.
And it looks like the best teams right now, Tennessee, Kansas, UConn, they're the ones that have been building and brought in some transfers to supplement talent loss.
I'm not completely bought in on Kansas just yet. They did just beat Houston by a good margin, but Houston also just gave up honestly, I think it was just a poor matchup for Houston because their front court is so young. I think their whole front court is freshmen, basically. And they gave up a record high of 42 points in the paint, or season high of 42 points in the paint. So I think it's just a matchup thing there when it comes to it.
I'm higher on Kansas than you are.
Oh, definitely. I think they're definitely in my top 5 now.
You know what? I'll save this for a little bit later because it's in our show notes.
Right.
Are you not high on Kansas because Kim Pom doesn't like Kansas very much?
No. I'm not high on Kansas because of that. It's just that I'm not 100% sold on everything that I've seen so far.
All right. We'll talk about Kim Pom in a second. I've got that in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to blindside you with that one. But
no,
back to Kentucky and Calipari. I do agree with you. They're not going to fire him. I don't think that they're ever going to fire him. I think Barnhart, the athletic director of Kentucky, he could try and
force him out.
He could do what people have done in the past and really, really, really implore him to retire.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, firing him without actually doing it.
Right.
But they owe
mutual agreement.
He has a lifetime contract.
Right.
And the buyout, if he's fired for the contract, is like a percentage of what his remaining salary will be in the contract. So it goes up and up every single year. Last year when this was around, it was like 60 to 64 million. That was what the buyout was if he was fired. So so much money.
There's no way they can even afford that. It's not even a
Kentucky's got a lot of money.
I'm not saying they don't, but it's like you also have to fire him, bring in a new whole staff, and then also have NIL to recruit on top of that as well.
NIL is different than...
I know it's different.
It's not. I know that
it's
it
not
oftentimes comes from the same pool.
But I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
Like, you're talking at least 80 mil?
It's a lot.
It would be an insane buyout. It's Alabama football money, which I love basketball, but even Kentucky for blue blood brand, I definitely doesn't have that in the bank for basketball.
Look, you can always make it work. And the thing is, you don't pay the $60 million at once.
Oh, I'm fully aware, absolutely. But I'm just saying, like, that's a ton of money.
It's a lot, yeah.
That's putting Cal on layaway for forever.
Yeah, so I don't think they're going to fire him. Another blue blood job that people are absolutely having questions about. You yourself said that they're going to get rid of him at the end of the year is Indiana with Mike Woodson.
Yep, I think so.
I don't think they're going to get rid of him. But
they're not a tournament team. I mean,
they're not.
So then what's the expectation here for Indiana?
They made the tournament the last 2 years when they struggled to do so for a while. And you have to have a guy in mind. And I think if they do actually get rid of Woodson this year, they're going to go out and get Dusty May. I think that's the guy.
I don't think he's the guy. FAU looks awful this year.
Yeah, but he's an Indiana former grad assistant.
I mean, I don't think Indiana made the tournament last year.
Yeah, they did.
No, they didn't.
Sure they did.
Oh, they're a 4 seed right here.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Took me a second.
They got bounced by Miami,
a Final Four team.
which I was telling you about
Yeah.
last year. We didn't have this podcast,
Don't worry.
so you couldn't.
We're gonna have it this year.
Yeah, but anyway, Woodson gets fired.
Yeah.
Let's say that we know Kenny Payne's gonna get fired.
Right.
West Virginia is already open.
These aren't blue bloods, right?
Not
We're
all.
just talking. We're
no,
just talking
like
what's
jobs
available.
that we know.
Okay.
Or we're speaking a hypothetical. Let's say Indiana, Louisville, West Virginia, Michigan's probably
Michigan
gonna
should
open
have
up.
been fired yesterday.
I'm okay with like this year, giving them this year, but like
No. It stinks
But,
to
I mean,
high heaven.
Michigan-
It's as bad as Louisville, basically. The Michigan job right now.
the Michigan job is as bad a job as Louisville.
Like what Kenny Payne and Juwan Howard have done is very parallel this season.
Oh, this season maybe, but like
Oh, definitely.
as a whole, no. Juwan Howard has done a much better job than Kenny Payne.
Well, I mean, like the expectations at the floor with Kenny Payne. I'm just saying this year, like he should have been fired this year along with Kenny Payne, basically.
Yeah, but so those jobs are going to be open. There's going to be it's going to be a good off season for openings. The only problem is I don't know if there's like a lot of like runaway candidates.
No, because it's also just like, are guys comfortable where they're at and what they've established? Do you want to go in and do another rebuild for these quote-unquote high-profile jobs? Like Indiana, in my personal opinion, hasn't been anywhere where it was with Bob Knight or anything close since.
They've fallen off.
The same thing with Louisville with Rick Pitino. I mean, you had like a couple of good years with Mac, maybe, but I mean, like it's definitely not been the same job that it was.
It's the same job.
But will it be the same program? You know what I mean? It's like we call these blue blood jobs or desirable jobs in the sense of like honestly at this point I wouldn't consider Louisville a blue blood at all.
That's a joke.
I don't think it is at all.
It's a joke.
In my lifetime, they've won one national championship compared to what I mean. UConn's definitely blue blood in my lifetime, but UConn doesn't even get mentioned in that. For what reason? I don't know. I mean,
they weren't successful until the 90s.
Yeah, but that's my whole life. My whole life, I've watched UConn
but
win championships.
You are not college basketball.
But why are we valuing programs that haven't won stuff for like 50, 40 years, like UCLA or Louisville? Louisville won one in
Louisville
2013.
hasn't won in 40 years?
If
What are
you
you talking
take-
about? We had like 45 years of sustained success.
What are you talking about? We haven't won since 86 and 80. It's been 40 to 45 years right there.
Yeah, but there were Final Fours in between.
I'm just saying when it comes
That's
to this,
that's a bad argument.
Villanova has been better. Virginia has been better. Both that don't get in the conversation
Well,
at all.
Virginia's not a blue blood. They have one championship.
I'm just saying, in my lifetime, they've had better sustained success than these other programs that are quote unquote blue bloods. I don't know.
It's not.
At what
the
point-
blue
how-
blood argument doesn't begin in 2000.
No, I'm not saying it doesn't, but I'm saying at what point do you realize that when my grandfather used to watch the game, it's not the same program that it was. So why does it still hold this prestigious title for when it hasn't been relevant in
It's
forever?
because of what they did. Indiana is still a blue
So
blood.
San Francisco should be relevant in a blue blood because of the 1950s with Bill Russell, you know?
No, that's one decade.
UCLA in the 70s and 80s. I mean, like, what are we talking about here? Should Houston be relevant for Phi Slamma Jamma? I mean, you know,
No, because it's one decade.
I don't know, man, because it's like
There's a difference.
I don't think Louisville's a blue blood job. I really
Louisville
don't.
was a top program for 45 years.
Yeah, was. It's not anymore. It hasn't been for 10 years now. It's been a decade since we've been relevant.
No, it hasn't.
What are you talking about?
Patino was there in 2017. That's not a decade ago.
Yes, and we weren't even allowed in the tournament. So, I mean, like, what are we...
In 2017, we were allowed in the tournament.
I'm just saying, what are we trying to get at here? I mean, like, we haven't been...
I just think that's a bad argument.
I don't think it is.
I think it is. The counter is that it doesn't start with your lifetime.
How's it not?
Because you're not Christ. It's not.
I know I'm not.
It's
but I'm
not
just saying,
BC and AD.
I don't know. I've been on this earth for 23, 24 years now, and I'm just looking at it from the perspective of, like, why would I think these teams are blue bloods?
Okay, but like 3 weeks ago, you just learned what Phi Slamma Jamma is.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
my argument.
Doesn't mean anything. Exactly.
If you just learned what Phi Slamma Jamma was, I don't think you're the authority on who is and
I
isn't
knew
a blue
who
blood.
Houston was. I didn't know they had a name to it. Let me put that up there. I didn't know they had a nickname. Same thing. I didn't know that the '86 championship team had a nickname for Louisville. I didn't know that
It
either.
wasn't just '86. It was that entire era.
I'm just saying. I didn't know
Where the
that
doctor's
there
a dunk, baby.
Right, exactly. I didn't know there was a nickname for those teams. I'm sorry I wasn't up on the slang of the terms of the teams, but I knew who the
It's just
teams
important
were.
to telling the history.
I'm not saying it's not important to tell the history. I'm just saying that these programs have been drastically different, and the quote-unquote sought-after title of blue blood is not what it was. I don't think that's a hot take at all.
I just don't think that you have full context for it, is all.
I do have full context for it.
I don't think you're weighting things properly then.
Well, how much do you value the past in, like, the 80s and 70s that has been almost 60 years ago to constitute teams as, like, blue bloods?
Well, look, Louisville has a Final Four appearance in the 70s, the 80s, 2000s, 2010s. I don't know if they actually made it in the 90s or not.
So you just got to be good
but
for 1 year out of 10 years to be considered a blue blood?
No.
Then what's the argument? What were you trying to say?
I'm saying it's sustained success. It's the same reason.
But I mean, like, why
it's
isn't...
the same reason that Indiana is a blue blood.
Okay, No, Indiana is not a blue blood.
Oh, dude.
Indiana is not a blue blood.
Yes, they are.
No, they are not. How are they a blue blood? Explain to me.
They have 5 national championships.
Yeah, when was the last one?
I don't know.
Not in my
Bob
lifetime.
Knight was there.
Yeah, exactly. So why are we valuing so much success on something that happened in, like, the 90s? It's been 30 years almost since those championships, but they're still considered a blue blood? Get out of here. No way.
Look,
UConn's won like 4 or 5 national championships in my lifetime, stretching back to like 1999.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, why is that not holding more stock and they're not considered a blue blood?
I consider them a blue blood now.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, like, Indiana, no way.
Look, I get the argument that...
Let me put it this way. I'll do this for you. There's a tier below. There's the Indianas, there's the Michigan States, there's the Louisvilles, there's the Syracuses. There's the Georgetowns you can throw in there.
I would not. Never mind.
You know what I mean? There's a tier below those blue bloods where there's solid programs who have great history and everything, but I would not call them blue bloods. Michigan might be in there too.
I agree. I just think Louisville and Indiana are in that category.
Yeah, but they're not blue blood. The sought after title.
I think there is the top 5 programs, and then there is another tier that I still think are blue blood programs.
All right, so the blue bloods: Duke, UNC, Kentucky, Kansas, and everyone says UCLA, and I'm like, they have a Final Four recently, and I'm like kind of torn about it because everyone holds on to those wooden arrows. But if you take that out, are they really a blue blood?
Yeah, no, I mean,
you know what I mean? That's what I'm trying to get at here.
I do think there are better jobs than UCLA.
Like UConn, definitely a blue blood now. I think that solidifies everything. That most recent championship from last year, definitely are. I mean, like your Virginias.
But I would put UConn in the same tier as Louisville and Indiana.
No, they're above it. In my personal opinion.
No, they have the same number of titles as Indiana. They've got fewer Final Fours than Louisville. They've got fewer weeks in the AP top 25 than Indiana and Louisville. They're a new blue blood.
Absolutely. I'm not saying
they're like
not
a baby
new,
blue blood.
And let me put it this way. I value the new rather than the old because I don't know the old. I never watched the old. I couldn't tell you too much about the old.
That's where I think your problem lies.
I don't know. I mean,
This was all supposed to be about, I think there's going to be a lot of good job openings.
No, but I mean, like, how much can we value teams that were good 50 years ago and be like, oh, yeah, they're carrying on the success and tradition of that program? Because Indiana
It's part
is
of the story. It's the reason why Coach K went to Duke. It's because they were a good program that had never won it. Past matters. The past matters.
I'm not saying the past doesn't matter. I'm just saying that we shouldn't hold as much stock as we do in the past.
I'm just saying. Look,
You know
agree
what
to
I mean?
disagree. I know what you mean, but I don't agree with you.
Oh, no.
Let's move on.
So which job openings are going to be good and who are we going to take? Let's get back on that original point.
Okay, look. I think there's 3 very good job openings in Louisville, maybe Indiana in this scenario, and Michigan, and I think West Virginia is a good job opening as well. That's what I was getting at.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean,
And then if Kentucky's open, oh my God, they're gonna have first pick.
oh yeah, definitely, absolutely. But
I'm a Louisville fan. I'm admitting that Kentucky's got first pick.
Well, all 3 of those, I would say, in Louisville, Indiana, and Michigan. Well, not even Indiana. Louisville, Michigan, and West Virginia. Right now are all pretty big rebuilds. Now you can rebuild faster now with the portal and everything and recruiting and obviously. So it's not going to be a 3 to 4 year plan or 5 year plan or whatever it is.
Yeah, well, the thing is, with all 3 of those teams, there are talent on those rosters. There are rebuilds, but if you can get some of those guys to stay, that's going to help tremendously. Juwan Howard was able to bring in talent to Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
I guess wasn't able to coach them up, but he was able to bring in talent. There is talent on Louisville's roster right now. It doesn't matter how bad they are. If you actually watch the games and are able to break it down objectively, there is talent on that roster. West Virginia got a ton of preseason hype before Bob Huggins, thought that he was in Pittsburgh when he was in Ohio or something, or I don't know, vice versa. I'm not sure. There was a lot of talent on that team, and then Bob Huggins goes, and clearly the guy that they put in place as the interim is in over his head. If you can get some of the talent on these 3 teams to stay, that helps you tremendously. And then again, you use the portal, in my opinion, to plug in holes. There's probably first year it's a rebuild. There's going to be more holes and bigger holes than other places, but I think if you can get some of these guys to stay, that's the best option.
Right. It'll be interesting to see who comes out for those. Would you say there's any candidates for those jobs?
I genuinely believe if Indiana cans Woodson, they're going to get Dusty May.
Okay.
They're going to go after Dusty May, and Dusty May's going to want the job.
Oh,
I think
without a
Dusty,
doubt.
there's a few people that are gone from where they are no matter what happens this year. Dusty May, I think, is leaving.
Really?
All his players are like seniors. He's gone. He is gone after this year. Jerome Tang hates the administration at Kansas State. He is leaving. It does not matter. He's going somewhere else.
Yeah, but also with that, as of recently, he's starting to not get the results.
Yeah, no,
to get a desirable job.
As someone who was on the Tang train, that is scaring me a little bit.
Yeah, we're not locking the brakes, but we're definitely easing up on that pace.
I'm definitely like looking out the window for sure.
Yeah, you're like, where's the next stop? How far do we have to go?
I'm definitely looking out the window a little bit.
See, and you know what's funny is Mick Cronin, who is currently the coach at UCLA.
Yeah, you were big on.
Well, also the coach at Cincinnati. One of my friends, I'll just call him, or a friend of a friend, more so exactly, who was in the coaching, said, should I get into coaching? You know, how I want to go into something like go into college coaching. And Mick Cronin said, word for word, don't go into coaching. Don't let an 18-year-old decide your fate. That was Mick Cronin's word. He goes, if I could do it all over again, I wouldn't be doing this.
He's a prickly guy.
I mean,
that's souring too at UCLA. I think that job would be open if his bio weren't so much, because I don't think they're happy with him right now.
they're not a tournament team right now. But then
They're
also,
not even close. They've got a losing record.
oh no, absolutely not. I mean, but then also last year they were what, like a Final 14?
No, last year they were Sweet 16.
It was 2 years ago. It was the bubble year. Not
2
bubble.
years ago they've gotten worse and worse every year. They
Right.
went from Final Four to the Elite Eight to the Sweet 16, and now they're not even sniffing the tournament.
Yep,
They're not
sounds
even
about
close
right.
to the bubble.
All right.
All right, let's move on. We ranted about that.
It was
Bloods
good.
For
Honestly,
30. No, it was good, but
it was
I we have some fundamental differences in how we view that.
yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, let's get on KenPom
we are?
and the net rankings. You
Oh,
want to
okay.
talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go
So
for
this
it.
was pointed out. You're a big fan of KenPom.
I enjoy looking at how good a defense and offense is, and then also looking at like the tempo of teams and how they play, the style of play. And
Do you think it's fairly like? I mean, it's computer rankings, obviously.
Yes,
You know, we
It
understand what comes with that territory. But do you think they're pretty good rankings?
I would say they're definitely not perfect in the sense because they take like 4 true outcomes of like factors when it comes to offense efficiency and defense efficiency, and that's how they rank them. So basically, the defense efficiency you want the lowest number,
Yeah.
and the offense efficiency you want the highest number. They take the differences of those two numbers, and it computes out one single number, and that's how they rank them. So you can have like a really good defense, really poor offense, and still be okay, or vice versa. And then you could be mediocre and average, and you could be right there level with like a very elite offense or whatever.
Yeah. But
So it's not perfect because, like, for example, there's teams like Michigan State and Alabama, which Alabama is starting to figure it out. But like Michigan State
is still struggling.
they're struggling.
I mean, they
But
beat
the
Maryland.
but the efficiency that they're putting out is showing that they're mediocre at offense, but their defense is really good, and so their defense is keeping them in like a top 25 ranking. It is not a perfect world, but it's also a good what's the word? It's a good reference to go off of.
Yeah.
To gauge like how a team is faring.
Let me shed some light on how both KenPom and the net work. So we know that
I don't know anything about the net.
it's pretty similar to KenPom.
Gotcha.
There's differences, but it's similar.
Okay.
Both the net and KenPom, they cap a win. They value wins and losses based on the margin of victory or loss. And like a 1-point win is the same as a 1-point loss
Oh,
because at that point it's kind of just like chance.
it's margin of victory. But then also you could have like a 2-point game and then start fouling and not hit threes at the end, and then it
Yeah.
becomes a bigger discrepancy.
Yeah, and so same way, a 20-point win, that's the cap. That's the highest it can value a margin of victory. If you get a 50-point win, it's the same as a 20-point win. But what doesn't get capped in those 50-point wins is the stats regarding offensive and defensive efficiency. And so you can go non-conference and you could just beat up on all these like D2 teams, and your offensive and defensive efficiency can look ungodly. And in KenPom and the net, that can put you in like the top 10 because Auburn, they played nobody non-conference. Not nobody. They virtually played nobody.
I'll give you nobody.
And they were like top 10 in both of those.
Mm-hmm.
They looked really, really good in computer rankings. And then they're losing some games. They're dropping some games. They don't look as good recently.
They've lost two. They lost Mississippi State and Alabama, which, to be fair, Alabama is ranked first right now in the SEC.
Yeah, but just saying, like, you can do that. You can just play nobodies, and then it'll rank you really high. And you can try to schedule, tough teams and win those games and really boost your resume. But if you don't win those tough teams, you don't get credit for the win, and also that hurts your efficiency ratings because that's a game you could have played a really bad team.
Mm.
So it overrates teams that have garbage schedules, and then underrates teams that actually try to schedule people that are tough.
So who would you say that's like a team that's like underrated and overrated?
I think it's underrating Kansas because Kansas's non-conference strength of schedule is like in the 60s. That is by far the highest of the Big 12. BYU, I think, was overrating for a long time. BYU's non-conference strength of schedule was like 300 and something. It's terrible. So they just beat up on these bad teams, and now they're starting to lose in the Big 12. Now that they're playing, teams that
It's
are
also
better.
Kansas is just a weird team because they can go out and they can bust the doors off of Houston, but then they struggle against West Virginia and UCF.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Well, UCF has been beating a lot of people at home. They played at UCF.
right?
They have proven themselves to be pretty tough at home so far.
Are they?
Yeah. Who did they just beat? They just beat Oklahoma, who I think is floundering. They got close to beating Baylor, didn't beat them. Baylor pulled away at the end. They're a tough out at home.
Fair enough. I mean, it's just weird.
No, but that's what Kim Palm the net does, and so
Oh, it's not a perfect ranking
no,
system.
absolutely not. But there's this incentivization to I don't know if that's actually a word or not, but I said it.
Go for it.
To just schedule teams that are terrible, so that on paper, when it comes down to it, when the selection committee's looking at the net, they're like, oh man, this conference is they according to the net rankings, like the Big Ten or whoever it did this for the Big Ten for the longest time. It would boost you up because you played no one in the non-conference, and then because it boosted everyone up in the non-conference, now that you're playing teams in conference that are artificially overrated, it looks like your schedule is super tough in conference. So even though you might be going like 9-11 in conference, they're like, yeah, but it's a really tough conference, and then they'll put you in the tournament.
It'll be interesting to see on these bubble teams and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, is Villanova a tournament team?
No, absolutely not. Oh my God, no.
No.
No, they're like 12-10 or something.
Is Florida a tournament team?
Yeah, I think so. I think Florida's good. They're not amazing, but they're good.
Okay. Cincinnati?
They need more wins. They've dropped some games, but Cincinnati's pretty solid.
Gonzaga. Gonzaga's really good on Kim Palm. But my take is they need to win the WCC conference tournament to get in. They need a bid to get in.
I don't think they need to. They play Kentucky.
They do. They play Kentucky this week.
So
that'll be a big game for them.
if they win that,
It'll help them a lot.
That'll get them in. Even though Kentucky's kind of.
I don't think it's going to be close. I think Kentucky's going to bust the doors off of them.
We'll see. Kentucky's not been playing great recently.
Yeah. A lot of points. Gosh, they've given up 103, 94. Granted, that was in overtime.
But it was in the 80s in regulation.
Fair enough. But I mean, then the Arkansas game, they can't score. I mean, does Arkansas have a good defense? No. What the heck?
They just played a bad game against Arkansas.
So they just play down or play up to? I don't know. Okay.
I don't know, but
Weird teams.
yeah.
All right.
So that's about it, really.
Yeah, more or less.
Just wanted to get that off my chest.
How you feeling?
Not as satisfied as I thought I would.
Dang.
Oh well.
All right.
Isn't that life?
All right.
Let's talk about the news.
Good old news.
Good news. It's a lot of. We'll start with Caitlin Clark because that's basketball. We'll stick on.
It's exciting stuff.
Yeah. We'll stay on.
She's going to catch Kelsey Plum, basically.
Yeah, she's 66 points away from being the all-time leading scorer in women's basketball.
My goodness. I watched a little bit of her game against Maryland. They had Gus Johnson on the call. She's drawing eyeballs. Yeah. And
she's the biggest player in all college basketball, period, right now. Men
yeah,
or women.
I don't think that's a hot take at all.
No.
She is pulling up from logo and just draining shots. It's ridiculous.
She's very good.
Extremely good.
Very good.
I threw this question in here. I don't know. Is she the best player in the history of women's basketball? Is she better than Cheryl Miller? Is she better than Maya Moore, Brianna Stewart, or a few names that come to mind?
I mean, it's hard to say because,
is she better than Brittany Griner? Is she better than...
It's different now because back then, like Stewie, all the talent was consolidated into, 3 teams. And so... Stewie being the best player when she was in college, by far.
Yeah.
She just made her team unbeatable. Literally unbeatable. I don't think she ever lost a game. And so,
I mean, UConn had that run with Maya Moore where they won like 100 and something or whatever it was.
yeah, UConn's done that multiple times.
I'm just saying, like,
I'm just like, but
there's
now the talent is more spread.
Oh, definitely.
There's clearly more parity, even though South Carolina
somehow is so
Don't get
good.
Cardoso, Cardosa. Is it Cardoso?
I'll give it to you. I'm not sure, honestly.
Well, I just bumped the microphone. Hope that didn't sound bad. She's leaving the team for like a week or two to go play for the Brazilian national team.
Oh,
So
that's exciting.
she's not with South Carolina right now. So I don't know. Maybe this is whoever plays them. This is their time to get one on them. But
I mean, still, the talent is there.
it's still, I know, Don Staley's still the coach. They've
Oh,
got,
so
Raven
good.
Johnson and everyone.
But off the top of your head, would you say Caitlin Clark is the greatest?
She's definitely up there. Yeah, she's very, very good.
Extremely good. I'm not ready to crown her the greatest, but
It's hard.
oh yeah, absolutely.
It's hard, especially when you only play like 4 years.
Mm-hmm. She might be back for another year.
I think she will. I think she will be.
I don't see why she wouldn't be.
I think she should be. Yeah.
I think just from a money standpoint, she will be.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, so Caitlin Clark is going to pass it. Kelsey Plum actually said that was like a terrible time in her life.
Yeah, I saw that.
Just because like everyone like scrutinized her so much.
Yeah, and I saw some like trolls on the internet commenting about it, where they were basically just like, someone's a little salty that the record's being broken and stuff like that. I mean, like,
She seemed pretty gracious about it.
I mean, absolutely, yeah.
She's not like Eric Dickerson. Eric Dickerson has openly been like, I don't want a person to even come close to scratching this record.
No, I mean, you worked hard for that record, absolutely.
But
I mean, Caitlin's gonna blow it out of the water, especially if she comes back for another year.
oh my God, if she comes back for her 5th year, she might score 5,000 points.
She might not. Yeah, it might not even be touched. And then we can call her the greatest.
Another person, you know what? I want to give this person credit because of Caitlin Clark, she's not really getting her flowers the same way. Deasia Fair of Syracuse, she's currently the 6th all-time leading scorer. Do you know that?
Of where?
Syracuse.
No, I did not know.
Deasia Fair is the 6th all-time leading scorer in women's college basketball history.
Wow.
Yeah. And she's gonna get up there. She's probably gonna edge her way to that top.
Also, did you
3
see
or 4.
where Juju Watkins of USC
Oh my God,
single-handedly just beats Stanford almost?
Yeah, she's incredible.
51 points, true freshman. So, USC's coach, there's obviously she hits the shots, and then there's hits 51 points in a game against a big-time program against Stanford, basically. And then there's stories that come out about her coach getting calls from security guards at the gym, where they're like, what do I do? Do I kick her out? No, just let Juju be Juju. Just let Ju be Ju, basically.
Yeah. She's very good.
She's only a freshman, too.
Yes, she was the number 1 recruit.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Crazy. USC got number 1 recruit on women's and men's. Isaiah Collier.
What's his name?
Isaiah Collier.
Oh, Isaiah Collier.
Who's also very good. Isaiah Collier is very good.
Is he now?
Yeah, which again blows my mind that USC is not better at basketball this year. I don't get it.
They're not even like a top 3 team in the Pac-12.
They have a losing record.
Yeah.
They have a losing record overall. It's crazy.
Man, they really need to figure out LA basketball right now.
I don't know. But yeah, so
Yeah, there's that.
next time we're on here, very likely Caitlin Clark will be the all-time leading scorer.
Yep, odds are.
Yeah, we'll move on to football now because I guess that's always in the news. Jeff Hafley, Boston College, now former head coach, has left Boston College to become the Packers defensive coordinator. Green Bay Packers. That's kind of wild.
Is it, though?
It is and it isn't. Obviously, this has been happening a lot recently where people will leave their head coaching job for a coordinator position at a higher profile spot.
Definitely. If you're not one of the upper echelon
Yeah,
programs.
it's happened multiple times recently with North Dakota State. It happened with Sean Lewis leaving his head coaching job at was it Kent State?
Sure. There was rumors up until Cliff Kingsbury got the job at the Commanders OC. It was Chip Kelly was very much wanting the job, or rumored
Oh,
to
he's
want the job.
still interviewing for offensive coordinator positions.
Oh, he is?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Chip Kelly, yeah. Chip Kelly's someone trying to leave UCLA right now.
Yeah.
And so he's trying to leave. Liam Cohen of Kentucky just took the offensive coordinator position at Tampa Bay, the Buccaneers.
Mm-hmm. That's a good move.
That is that's like the same position at a higher level. So that,
Oh,
that one
definitely.
makes sense.
Yeah.
That one makes more sense. And also, I think he was trying to get out of Kentucky. It's just any way he could.
Yeah.
But
I could definitely see it being a growing trend. Also, I just wonder, like, how well. I mean, you don't have to worry about half of the stuff you have to worry about. It's just X's and O's at that point. You don't have to worry about running a program. You don't have to worry about recruiting aspects of anything like that. Entertaining a 17 or 18-year-old of
yeah,
being like, hey, this is the spot to be. This is why you should come here.
I think everyone's getting micked out.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Especially now you also have to not only schmooze 17 and 18-year-olds, and now you got to do it for 20-year-olds or 24-year-olds or 7-year seniors trying to come back and transfer. So, I mean, like, imagine having to do free agency every year.
How can you just disregard everything that happened before 1999, and then in the 15 minutes later, be like, oh, you got to schmooze 7-year seniors to get them to come back.
I mean,
I'm just the juxtaposition of those.
I don't think there's any juxtaposition at all, because what I'm trying to get at is that because of NIL, the game has definitely changed in that aspect. Compared to pros to everything else.
You are correct.
Now, when it comes to historically valuing a program in
We're
basketball,
not going to get back on. We're not.
Very
we're
different.
We're done with that.
Well, then don't bring it up if you're done with it. You don't want to reopen those can of worms.
But you saw what I'm saying, right?
A little bit, but still, it has
okay.
no. It's
Look,
apples and oranges.
People are clearly very unhappy with coaching.
Oh, yes.
College right now.
The old way is no longer. There is a new style and format to how you have to go about college football. And basically it is finding a way to reconstruct your roster year in and year out. And because you can't rely on who you're going to have. Everyone's on a 1-year deal. And we'll see what happens. That's basically what college football is at this point.
More or less, yeah. I mean,
college sports for that matter. But
yeah, it's interesting, and then so that goes to I guess it kind of bleeds into the next story a little bit of like the Big Ten and the SEC have formed a joint advisory board or advisory group,
right,
to give recommendations and advice, which I guess are just synonyms, on how it's a little vague, but it's.
It sounds like a governing body for the SEC and Big Ten.
It's not an official governing body. But here's what it sounds like.
That's exactly what it sounds like, though.
Here's what it sounds like to me. It's made up of university presidents, ADs, coaches, stuff like that.
34 teams.
Yeah.
Schools. My bad. They're not teams, but they are teams.
And so
this is football.
It sounds like they're going to give advice on legislation and like what the rules should be, both legislation, like legal, and just like the rules of the NCAA.
To the two of them, or to the NCAA?
NCAA and like Congress and stuff.
Well, why is it just them two? Why is it?
It's because they are trying to
make their own.
They're trying to like flex out their power. I don't think they want to make their own group. I think they.
Definitely they do.
I don't think so.
Yes.
No, because conferences love the NCAA because the NCAA becomes the target.
Let me put
if the NCAA didn't exist, everyone would be suing the SEC and the Big Ten.
No, because let me put it this way. Here's what I think is going to happen. SEC football and Big Ten football are going to become their own entity away from the NCAA. That is what the goal is here. Just football. It's all that it is. It's all that matters. It's where the money is. The desire is to make football basically its own thing within the Big Ten and SEC, if you will, and form their own Super League.
I could see.
That is what is. There's going to be an NFC and AFC, and that's how it's going to go. It's going to be their own two leagues, both meet champions of each other. That's what I predict.
I don't think so. Because here's what I think is going to happen. I think I could see football being its own thing, college football, but it's going to be under the banner of,
It's not going to be under NCAA.
It's going to be NCAA Junior or NCAA F or whatever, or like a new organization that's basically just the NCAA.
Basically,
but for football only.
But it won't be the NCAA.
I think it could be. I think these conferences like the NCAA because they don't want to be sued. The NCAA is the one getting thrown into the Supreme Court.
Yeah, exactly. But if you form your own thing with your own laws and own rules,
then you are the one that gets sued now.
But by who? When all the teams agreed to it to want to do this,
by players, by family members of players. Easy. That's who you get sued by. Because the Big Ten and the SEC make $1 billion a year each.
Yeah, exactly.
And the players don't see any of that.
And I think they are going to. It's going to be a mini NFL. That is exactly what's going to happen. It's a mini NFL.
I think they're forming this group so that they can control the narrative, basically. I think they're trying to be like...
Narrative? It's about
listen.
Money. It's about
I'm
money.
not done talking, okay?
It's about money.
Listen to me.
It's always been about money.
Listen to me speak. There's a reason I have this microphone. It's because I wasn't hugged enough as a child.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I know. It's sad. Anyway,
Got that off your chest?
No, I didn't. It haunts me. Listen.
I'm listening. It's the narrative.
Yes, they are trying to say we are the ones with the advisory groups. Don't even consider listening to the Big 12 and the ACC because we form the advisory group. You go to us. They're trying to shut out the ACC and the Big 12 and further cement themselves as, oh, we're the conference that people want to pay attention to. And that way, they will continue to get more money. And then eventually, it's going to turn to this, who tries to stab who's back first. But
I think they need each other. I don't think either of them have
I don't think they do. I think in their minds, they don't want to need each other.
I think it's advantageous to have this partnership for both of them.
That's why they're doing it right now.
Right.
But I think in the future, I think they want to, in their minds, once they've thoroughly stepped on the necks of the Big 12 and the remains of the ACC, if that ends up dying eventually, I think they're eventually going to turn their sights towards each other. They want to be the dominant conference. They want all the money.
I don't think so.
Yes, the goal is to monopolize.
Right. I think what this is it's the exact same thing as the AFL and the NFL merging. It's exactly what it's going to be. You're going to have an AFC and NFC. You're going to have a Big Ten and SEC. Big Ten champion plays the SEC championship. That's your national championship. That's what I think is going to happen.
You sound happy almost.
I hate this. Let me preface this. I despise this. I despise ESPN, Fox, and NBC for saying this can happen and allowing this to happen, basically. Because they basically are saying, the Big Ten and SEC at this point currently, with the products they're putting out on the gridiron, have all the leverage in the world. And the NCAA has no power whatsoever to stop this. None whatsoever. They never have and they never will because they're not a legal body and they can't enforce anything. They can't put people behind bars. What are they going to do, fine them for leaving? We're not going to pay the fine. We're just going to leave. I mean, honestly. The NCAA can't stop this, and there's nothing they can do.
I just think that there's too much of, fundamentally college and the NFL were different.
Oh, definitely.
And so...
But now money's at stake.
There's always been money at stake.
I mean, to a greater extent now.
I'm aware of that, but I just think that... I don't know. I think a lot of it's being pushed by, obviously, corporate interests, but also... I think a lot of media people are pushing this because a lot of media people don't want to have to care and remember the names of 130 different teams.
I mean,
I think that's a big part of it.
I don't think it's just.
I think it's a big part of it.
It's just money. It's just money.
No, be honest. There's lazy people. There's lazy people that don't want to have to care about,
Sure,
New Mexico State.
It's I hear you, but it's also like no one's really cared about New Mexico State in football to begin with. You know, it's
Yeah, but let's say they start off a year 11-0. You got to care about them. You got to talk about them.
sure.
You're not going to
absolutely.
give them the same amount of attention because A, ratings, and B, these people just don't care about New Mexico State. But they don't want that to even be a possibility.
It just comes down to eyeballs. That's what it just comes down to. It's entertainment. That's all it is. If people are watching it, people are going
And
to
I
pay
think
for
the
it.
thing is, this is making it less entertaining, though.
I mean,
I do.
As a
Because-
fan of a program on the outside looking in, this sucks. 1,000%, it sucks. But it's the reality that we're in.
I know, but I know, but I think two things about this. One, they're just pretending like teams in the ACC and teams in the Big 12 can't be good at football. They're just pretending like it. They're just outright pretending like it. I mean, that's just not true. That's not true. Because not everyone is, which gets into my second point, not everyone is going to go to a team that has more prestige than, say, Oklahoma State or Utah. Not everyone's going to go to a team with more history and prestige just to finish 9th in the SEC. You're not going to do that.
Hey, I never said it was the top 34 teams. Rutgers is in there, okay? I'm just saying, like, and Northwestern's in there. It's not like they're the top programs.
I know.
By any stretch of the imagination. Now, will I say this? If you were to take away the SEC and the Big Ten, what are the other elite football programs left? Elite.
Florida State and Clemson. And Miami. We'll give them that.
And Miami.
I know Miami
Historically.
recently, yeah.
But, I mean, like, are you missing any other programs? Like, you wouldn't say like a Utah.
Notre Dame.
Yep, Notre Dame is one. Yep, I would agree. Notre Dame is one getting left out. I mean, outside of those
Oklahoma
four,
State's a good program.
I'm not saying
I think
that.
Oklahoma State is that, they're right there on the doorstep.
Yeah, I would say like them, and then like you could say
Kansas State is a nice program too because of Bill Snyder.
I know, but it's not like
I'm aware.
if there's a Notre Dame game on or a Florida State game on.
Depends on if it's at Notre Dame. I avoid watching those games
Okay,
like
let me
the plague.
let me put it this way: if it's Kansas State at Utah, would you watch that or would you watch Notre Dame at Florida State? You know what I mean?
It depends on the records, and then
I know, but I'm just saying historically speaking. You know
no,
what getting at.
I know what you're saying. The broad audience is going to watch Florida State. and Notre Dame.
Definitely, and that's all that matters
That
here.
yeah.
And which sucks. And yeah, it's basically where we're at. And
It sucks to see my program on the outside of it looking in.
Look, I think the Big 12 is going to make a nice name for itself as far as football goes. Like, these schools, just because the interests lie with, the Big 10 and the SEC, like, Boise State's not going to stop playing football.
No,
Football still makes money for them.
There's still
like,
the NCAA is not going away. It just won't be as important.
yeah.
That's what it is. It's not going to be the governing body of all sports in college sports. This is, I believe, the beginning of something to be formed in football.
I mean, it's their own fault too.
I mean,
They could have just changed the rules and, controlled the current of the river.
right?
But they literally
See-
they tried to stand in front of it as long as possible and stop the river themselves.
Here's the other
until it just
frustrating thing is like
overwhelmed them.
we're a show that has consistently bashed the NCAA. Right?
Yeah.
We don't like the NCAA. We hate the NCAA. Unfortunately, I hate this more because my team is not being left out of it. So
I hate it because of that, but also because of it. It gets rid of the integrity. I hate the NCAA because of what it's done, what it stands for. It's never too late for the NCAA to just right the ship and be like, oh my guys, we're just going to start doing the right thing now. Because then it would just be the governing body. And that's that. You wouldn't think about it. But the reason people think about it is because it sucks so much.
yeah, that's where we're at.
Yeah.
So I personally think this is the beginning of the end. That's what I think. I think this is going to be the start where football in the Big Ten and SEC is going to become its own entity. That's what I think this is.
I don't know. We'll see. I don't like it.
I don't like it either, man.
Let's talk about Tennessee and Virginia.
Good
The
old.
states, that is.
Yep, and attorney generals suing the NCAA over NIL.
Yeah, so this all started with the NCAA trying to get their act together, quote unquote, and start punishing people for NIL. Like, we saw this. They did it to Florida State. They did it to... Did they do it to Tennessee already, or is this new?
I'm not sure.
I think this is new. They punished Tennessee for something else. They did it to Florida State. They did it to Florida, which the Florida one is kind of justified, because they promised a dude $16 million, and they're like, we don't have it.
See, do you know why? Is this why Tennessee is suing the NCAA? The Attorney General? Why is the Attorney General of Tennessee so interested and invested?
It's because the NCAA has placed violations upon Tennessee that they're investigating regarding a coach driving recruits to meet with an NIL collective so that they wouldn't be the ones talking to them about NIL.
Gotcha.
And so
And then-
the NCAA is now suing over that, or trying to punish them over that. And then Tennessee released a letter responding to the NCAA, basically saying, like, you can't not have any rules whatsoever and then try to enforce rules that you made up on the spot after the fact. And so, which I think is a good argument. Tennessee, let's be honest, they cheat a lot. Specifically football, that is. It is what it is. That being said, they've got a point. You can't fault them for being right here,
I think the Virginia joining in the suit is also interesting because the reason why Virginia is joining in is because of
James Madison.
James Madison being ineligible because of their transitioning from FCS still, apparently, according to the eyes of the NCAA.
Which is dumb.
Also, what I also found interesting reading into this about the Tennessee is that the Attorney General of Tennessee, it is not an elected position. It is appointed by the governor.
Really?
Yeah, it is not an elected position. So the Attorney General of Tennessee doesn't
I guess
have...
federally the Attorney General's appointed.
Right. So what's interesting is that the Attorney General of Tennessee gets to basically not... It's still power politics, but it also gets to pick and choose more so what they want and not what's the hot political issue, to like...
No, it's still politics.
No, but the Attorney General is well within circles of the GOP in Nashville. Like, there's no getting around that, okay? But it's also just like, the Attorney General, I learned, is not elected, so...
Yeah, which is a shocker to us because in Kentucky we do vote on the Attorney General. But of course, this isn't a political show.
No, exactly. So I think it's kind of cool that the Attorney General has the ability to invest time and resources towards going after the NCAA.
Instead of campaigning is what you're saying.
Exactly. What I'm trying to get at here. Yeah. Being concerned about where their next donor check is going to come from.
Yeah. I mean, that's, same AG did in his lawsuit in response to the NCAA, said that they're trying to defend a world that doesn't exist anymore.
I mean,
which is very accurate, very scathing.
What we're seeing even more, yeah. The tweet goes hard.
And again, like, it's all the NCAA's fault. It is entirely their fault.
It is their demise.
They waited until
it was too
California
late.
said, no, what you're doing is illegal, and we're going to make a law saying it's illegal. And then they sued, and then...
lost.
And then the Supreme Court was like, no, what you're doing is illegal. And if anything ever comes back to our plate about you, we're going to reaffirm that it's as illegal as it gets.
Yeah.
And so they just instead of preparing.
They just open the floodgates.
Yeah, they're just like, whatever, it's legal now.
Well, they kind of had to. Their hand was forced by the legal government.
I know. But if they just
had
even after California had passed that law saying that it is illegal to revoke an athletic scholarship because someone makes money off their name, image, or likeness. After that, sure, whatever. You're the NCAA. You're full of monsters. You take it to the Supreme Court. I don't care. In the meantime, put a team together. In case you lose, have a contingency plan.
Oh,
Have them come up with rules. Have them come up with a full list of rules and run it by university presidents.
mm-hmm.
And that way, it's not the Wild West. As soon as you're like, whatever, okay, we lost. It's their own fault. They could be doing the same exact thing right now, but with player compensation and revenue sharing.
Yeah.
And they're just, I guarantee you, they're simply not doing it. Because they're just defending a world that does not exist anymore.
It doesn't.
They're trying to click their heels and go back home, but they're home. They're home right now.
Yeah.
I've never seen that movie.
Oh, you haven't?
No, I haven't.
Man, follow the yellow brick road. Wizard of Oz, baby.
That's a real highbrow reference right there. I mean, I don't have much more to say about that, honestly.
I mean, I personally just think when it comes to it is that the NCAA at this point doesn't have power. There's no power whatsoever.
Yeah.
You can strip banners. You can do whatever you
And
want.
it's their own fault that they don't have that power anymore. Let's be honest.
Oh, absolutely. They have become a governing body that has no enforcement, basically. I mean, what's the worst thing they can do? I mean, if you give a team the death penalty, they could just leave.
Sue.
I mean, also that too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The NCAA has just been getting the floor wiped with them in court recently.
Yes.
Anything that happens that you don't like, just sue. You'll win.
Because the foundation of which they stand on is illegal.
Yeah, the tides have turned. No one judges. It's bipartisan. Judges hate the NCAA. Just sue them.
Well, when your model is
Slavery.
here's the entertainment, we're not going to pay them.
Yeah, when your model is slavery,
No, student athletes.
yeah, tends to be a ticking time bomb.
Yep.
All right. Want to do these pick'ems, baby?
Yep, here we are with the pick'ems.
All right. The fans, you guys have kind of been killing it.
Have they now?
They have. And it's great. It's great to see.
Absolutely.
I've been doing I think. We haven't been keeping track of it.
Yeah,
We don't know. I just know that you guys are doing pretty
You're
good.
doing good. We're doing meh and eh.
Yeah.
That's how we're going to rank these pick'ems this
right.
year in college basketball. It's by onomatopoeia noises.
Yeah. It's all about the tournament anyway. Who cares?
Yeah, you just got to win, what? Is it 5 or 6 straight?
6.
There you go. Just got to win 6 straight.
All right. Let's start off with the Tuesday matchup of Iowa State at Texas. Texas stringing together some solid games.
Yeah.
Still, I think, has some work to do to get into the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go with Texas.
Really?
It's away from Iowa State. Iowa State is not the same team on the road.
I don't know, man. She moves her body like a cyclone. Let's go with Iowa State here.
I wish I knew the next line of that song. But
She moves her body all night long.
I'm aware of the song.
Like a cyclone, just like a cyclone. They should bump that at whatever their arena's name is.
Hilton.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Ah, that would go hard.
You're talking about Iowa State, right?
Iowa State, yeah.
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 That would. I
Come
think
on
that
now.
would be a big.
Four-star correct. Oh yeah, definitely.
I think that would be a big hit. That would go over well in Ames.
You know, that's what I should do.
All right.
Absolutely. Go up to DJ, put in a request when I go there for a game.
Yeah. All right. Well, next we got BYU at Oklahoma.
Oklahoma's weird, man.
So is BYU.
Yeah, they're.
It's Oklahoma again had a pretty bad
They lost-
non-conference.
Yeah, and they've won one of their last 4. And then we got BYU.
They've won one of the last 4 and 3 of the last 7.
Yep, and then BYU's won the last 2. One against a decent Texas
They
team.
won 2 in a row, lost 2 in a row, won 2 in a row, lost 2 in a row.
So that means they're due for a loss.
Due for a couple, I suppose, but
Yeah, Kansas State too. Hop on back on that Tang train.
I don't know. I'm going with BYU, but
Ooh, it hurts his soul.
I don't know if I believe in Oklahoma right now. They'll probably limp into the tournament, and I think they'll be a pretty quick out.
Oklahoma's going to be that like 21-10 teamer. I forget how many games they play. Is that math right, or is it 22?
That's
10?
regular season. Yeah, that's right.
32 or 31 games.
There's 31 regular season games.
Okay, yeah, it'll be like a 21-10 team. They got like 4 or 5 more losses on the schedule. I don't know. It's home. Give me Oklahoma.
All right.
It's hard to win on the road this year.
Moving on, Texas Tech at Baylor. Baylor coming off of a crazy game against Iowa State. I don't know if you watched that one.
I did not.
That was wild. That was a wild game.
70-68.
Oh, so Scott Drew got ejected.
Oh, I heard about that.
He got
yeah.
ejected because he left the coach's box, not because he said anything inflammatory. He just left the coach's box twice. They hit a layup to go up. They're shooting free throws. This is Baylor, by the way. Baylor hits a layup to go up by 2. They're shooting free throw. They missed the free throw. Iowa State grabs the rebound, throws the shot, half court, doesn't get it. But they stopped the play because the clock started before anyone got the rebound, before anyone even touched the ball. And so that ended up giving Iowa State a free timeout and a spot, pretty close to half court to advance the ball. And they ended up inbounding the ball, got the shot off, banked in a 3. They went back and looked at it, didn't get it out before the clock expired.
Oh.
So, crazy game. Crazy game. I'm going with Baylor. It's at home. I don't believe in Texas Tech very much.
I'm just going with the home at this point.
Yeah,
going with Baylor.
I don't believe in Texas Tech all that much.
Well, Texas Tech is just struggling right now. Coming off of losses against TCU away and Cincinnati at home is a really bad loss.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll just see where they go from here.
All right, next up we got Alabama at Auburn. The Iron Bowl, if you will.
Sure. The Iron Dome, we'll call it.
I don't know.
Bowl game, football dome, like they're playing.
Yeah, I know, but that's you don't.
It's okay. I tried.
I'm picking Alabama.
I'm like obligated to pick Alabama in this one.
It's your team now.
Yeah, it is. They just lost. No, they beat Auburn at Alabama, right? And then now it's vice versa now. 4-point game?
I don't know how much they won by last time.
Yeah, 79-75. Yeah, let's go Bama again. Why not?
All right. Next up, we got Arizona at Utah.
Arizona's weird, man. Arizona is weird. It's like, I don't know what it is, but they struggled against Stanford last night, and
They lost to him early in the year by a lot.
Yeah. It's like they play up the competition and they play down. Like they beat the snot out of Colorado earlier in the year, who was like the second best team in the Pac-12 by like 97-50, and then they're just kind of squeaking by. Utah will be a big game for them. I'm going to go with Arizona in this one, but I'm not confident.
I'm going with Utah. It's on the road. I think that Utah's one of those teams that's like okay, but they're not bad.
They're 6-5 right now.
Yeah, I know,
Pac-12.
but you can't overlook them.
No,
They're
you
not
can't.
that great, but I'm going with Utah. Next, we get into the weekend's games. We got TCU at Iowa State. Again, this one's in Hilton. I'm going Iowa State.
I'm with you there.
Yep. All right, Hilton Magic. Illinois at Michigan State. Michigan State's got to start. They got to start winning some games.
Yeah,
or they're not going to get in the tournament.
No, absolutely.
I'm gonna go with Michigan State. I guess.
Yeah.
I'm not confident.
I mean,
I'm higher register.
Illinois is the third best team in the Big Ten, in my opinion.
You've gone back and forth on that.
No, it's. I mean, like
you used to say they were second, and then I think Wisconsin has surpassed them in your mind.
I'm torn. I'm honestly not gonna lie. I don't know where to put those two. They're definitely the B tier to Purdue's A tier.
I'll say this: I like Northwestern more than I like Illinois.
No,
I like Northwestern, man.
I do like Northwestern though. I think they'll be a tournament team. I think they'll be a bubble team. I think they'll be like that 10-11
I think
seed.
they'll be like that next 4 in.
Yeah, I think they'll be like a 10-11 seed.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I'm going with Illinois, and then I think Michigan State's below that. So based off that logic, I gotta go with Illinois.
All right. Next up, we got Gonzaga at Kentucky, Rupp Arena. Screw Kentucky. They gave me a ticket this weekend. I hate them. Anyway,
I personally think this is going to be a blowout. I think Kentucky's going to roll.
I think Kentucky's going to win, but I don't think it's going to be a blowout.
I mean,
I
like,
think Gonzaga's going to hang in with them.
I'm calling double-digit win here.
I don't think so. I think Gonzaga's going to be right there with them.
No. I watched that St. Mary's game. They are so poor. So bad. They don't have any depth in their front court at all. Give me Kentucky.
I mean, Kentucky, though, they don't really play defense.
I know, but you get that front court in foul trouble for Gonzaga, they have nowhere to go.
All right. Well, the next step, we got Baylor at Kansas. Fog Allen.
Here we go.
Yeah. I'm going with Kansas.
Same here.
I want Baylor to be good this year, partially
They are
because I
good.
want Scott Drew to be a good coaching candidate. It's selfish. It's selfish for me. And they have the potential. They just have not shot the ball well.
What if just all your candidates are just mediocre this year, so Louisville's just got to pick one? It's not like there'd be a standout.
That's definitely a possibility. Anyway, they can shoot the three really, really well. They have not done so in conference. And I don't think that's going to change against Kansas, at Kansas. Kansas is going to get up for this game. I think it's going to be an easy win for them.
Mm-hmm.
St. John's at Marquette.
Is Marquette starting to get it to click now?
I think they are. I've watched Marquette games recently.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty impressed with them.
They've won
honestly.
6 straight.
Mm-hmm. In a pretty tough. I mean,
Six straight, 4 away. They've already beat St. John's away. 73-72 this game was last time away.
yeah,
Very close game.
yeah. I mean, St. John's though has kind of they've gone up and down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
They're currently on a down streak, and I think Marquette's gonna win this one.
Yeah,
And again, selfishly, I want Shaka Smart to be a good coaching candidate.
fair enough.
Tennessee at Texas A&M. Texas A&M is another. They're a tricky one.
A little scary team. A little scares.
Yeah.
I think Tennessee is right there as one of the best teams in the SEC. Give me Tennessee.
They're good.
But A&M is tricky.
I'm gonna go with A&M, just because it's at home.
Yeah.
They got to pick up some of these wins sometime, right?
Yeah.
Are they?
Yeah, they're 4-4. They can beat Kentucky at home in overtime, but then they can lose to LSU at home too. So
Yeah. Well, we're split on that one, I guess, because I'm just picking Tennessee out of, I don't know. I mean, Texas A&M out of the Stars, I suppose.
yeah, fair enough.
UNLV at New Mexico. It's my team.
Mm-hmm.
Richard Pitino. The Lobos, they're going to get this dub.
They will.
They're going to get this
It's not going
dub over
It's not going to be a close game.
the Rebels.
I don't think.
All right. Next, we got Boise State at Utah State. Couple
This
of state
one's-
schools.
This is for first place, actually.
Yes,
if
it is.
everything pans out this week,
Mm-hmm.
which will be interesting. Yeah, 7-2 and 7-2, with your Lobos 6-3 right behind, as well as San Diego State.
Mhm.
I'm personally going with Utah State because it's at home. I think that's the differential for me. It's just hard to win on the road.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Utah State.
All right.
Next up, Kansas State at BYU.
Kansas State's struggling.
They're
really
struggling. They
poor
lost
week.
to Oklahoma State. That is a bad loss.
Awful loss.
That, if it weren't for the Baylor win, that puts you on the outside looking in as far as the tournament goes. But
They've lost 4 straight.
It's really bad, yeah.
They've lost 5 out of their last 7. They are currently with a losing record in the Big 12 at 4-5. And they've got BYU and Kansas this week. They got Kansas tonight and BYU, which, by the way, is another pick'em that we did last week that we don't know the result to yet.
Yeah.
Does the slide continue for Kansas State, or do they find a way to win in Mormon country?
I don't know. That's what you're picking.
Give me the Mormons.
Give me Kansas State. I don't know.
That one sucks.
Jerome Tang showed some coaching ability last year. He just doesn't have the talent this year. He didn't really hit in the portal. And he didn't bring enough guys back, which, again, as I said earlier in the show, I think that's a mistake. But I don't know. Give me Kansas State. Next up, these are the
Guess-
Monday matchups.
Mm-hmm.
Got Wake Forest at Duke. I'm gonna take Duke. Wake Forest has kind of been sliding recently.
They have.
I don't love Duke, but I just at Duke, Wake Forest is.
Mm-hmm.
I just think they're kind of a mid-league team. They might miss the tournament this year. We'll see.
I'm gonna have fun. I'm gonna pick Wake.
All right, don't hate
I-
the pick.
I doubt it though, but I'm gonna pick it.
Yeah, and then Kansas at Texas Tech. I don't think this is really gonna be close. I think Kansas wins.
No, I'm with you there. I think Kansas wins. It's so weird because it's like when you put these in, you're like, oh yeah, that'll work. Top 25 matchup, and then it's like Texas Tech's not gonna be ranked this week.
No, I just they're okay. Texas Tech is okay.
It's so weird. It's like we're starting to figure out where the tiers are within college basketball is.
Yep.
And so we'll see.
All right, that's our episode. We'll see you next week when people really start caring about college basketball because the Super Bowl will have happened.
Oh, who's your Super Bowl pick?
The Chiefs are gonna win.
I think the 49ers.
All right, we'll see you next time.